Um, I give you an overview of what we will talk about today. We start talking about ourselves, FOREO as organization, overall career trends, and key performance of digital marketing career paths. And then Diana and Fadhli will give some more insights from their own professional career path to give you some examples of how your career can unfold. And at the end, we have interactive questions and answers with you. FOREO Sweden is a Swedish skincare technology brand. Our goal is to reinvent skincare and not just to improve on what's already there. So we are basically disruptors, and when we focus on a new problem to solve in terms of skincare, we want to bring brand new solutions to it, not just do something that our companies are doing. We have been active for 7 years. We are present more or less in all the continents, and we are very active in Asia with local teams and also with digital teams who work remotely, like Fadhli and Diana. About myself, I've been in digital since '95. I've been working remotely since 2003. And I currently focus on APAC region for our digital media marketing operations. So we start from overall approach to develop your career, no matter which specific field you're entering. We see a trend across all departments at FOREO and also across more or less all the industries. There is a stronger focus on data. In the past, it was very hard to collect data and it was very hard to analyze. Right now, it's possible to have very meaningful data collected and analyzed in real time. So every company needs to make decisions based on forecasted return on investment, which you need to quantify based on data. So no matter which career you choose, it's very important that you become very familiar with data analysis and you make your forecast based on this. Very fast changing professions and roles. So it means that professions themselves are changing, but also when you join a company, you may join with one role. Example, you can join with a PR focus, but then evolving your career path, you can start doing tasks which are very different from this, as long as they meet your strengths and as long as they are required by your employer. In terms of budgets, well, especially with COVID, people ask, like, do companies have more budgets, do have less budgets? Well, nowadays, companies have a lot of budgets for roles which perform. And of course, there is a major restructurings in roles which do not perform. And again, this is all related to the availability of data. It's very easy to understand where contributions are coming for the company in terms of creating value and where they're not coming. So how do you prepare for your career? If you do decide to do digital marketing, you have a big advantage compared to many other careers. It's because in digital marketing, if you want, you can try and sample what it means in a day-to-day life, even before you start working for a company. So I compare to our careers. For example, if you want to be a lawyer, well, you need to do a practicum. First, you need to study, you need to pass exam, do a practicum. Only after you will know if a job is really good for you or not, because you cannot practice law unless you are already licensed. That's the same for medical field and for our many fields. But in digital marketing, well, you start from your own social media presence, you start from your own blog, think about something that you care about. It can be anything, it can be cars, it can be skincare, it can be books. If you start to write about what you love, which is not a work, it's like a passion, and then you understand, do people resonate with what you create? Do people resonate with how you present yourself? And basically how you promote what you create already gives you insight of what you may be doing in the future if you work in digital marketing. And well, if you choose to be, for example, an affiliate, or if you become a big influencer, even before you start a conventional career path, you can also monetize your time. And you may even decide that so you will be full-time. So I do suggest everyone to take advantage of these opportunities to actually do, if you want to do PR, if you want to do content marketing, start doing it when you're still in school, so you understand if that's what you actually want to do for your career. And of course, competition is sky high, especially marketing. Everyone knows how to present her or himself in the best light. So if you want to be a good marketeer, you need to be found. For example, our recruitment strategy, in the past, we are limited to post ads for vacancies, but now we do more proactive scouting on LinkedIn. So what it means if you are found on LinkedIn and your profile looks professional, then you may even be proactively contacted, because we are not the only company doing this. Of course, if you're nowhere to be found, then, well, you will have to rely on word of mouth, which is good, but for digital marketing, it's not ideal, because again, if someone is very good at promoting her or himself on LinkedIn, it already gives us an idea that that person may be good at creating awareness about FOREO. Now we start to have some more specific examples of career paths based on job titles / main duties. So we start from performance marketing careers. Performance marketing is a form of digital marketing, which, as the name says, is based on measurable performances. So you need to know how much a campaign is performing. You need to know which channels are creating these results, and you need to know how to scale the campaign which work and how to stop the ones which don't work. Attribution is very important, because if you run, let's say, 5 campaigns with influencers, 10 campaigns on ads, some campaigns on digital PR, you need to know which channels are working, because if you don't know, then you're just doing things and hoping that they work. Another key component of performance marketing is how you reward your partners. So it's not a flat fee, it's based on the results they actually bring. So very common way to do performance marketing is to give a revenue share. So let's say that you created an app which gives classes about I don't know, how to be fluent in a foreign language. So when someone brings you traffic which results in downloading the app, and then they upgrade to the premium version of it, if you are on a revenue sharing agreement with them, they will get a percentage of the cost of your online class, for example. A CPA is a flat amount. So the same example would be you sell your class online, and when a partner brings you a customer, then you pay a flat fee every time you become a student. Another version is by lead. So you just pay partners to bring you potential customers who, for example, leave you the email address. And then from there, you take it yourself and you will try to convert them into paying customers. And then we have CPC and CPV, which are quite basic. It's basically paying per click and paying per view. Some people consider this performance, some don't, because it's more an action, but it's not an actual sale. But it can be one of the ways you reward your performance marketing partners. One way to do performance marketing, probably the main one, is through affiliate marketing. So going back to the example I made, there is an affiliate who writes, let's say, about your app. Then someone clicks on their link, downloads the app and becomes a paying customer. There is a pixel which fires and tells to the affiliate platform that website number 1 or app number 1 brought you customer ABC, and that the purchase was, let's say, $100. So if you agree to give 5%, then they earn, let's say, $5 on this transaction. What does it mean in terms of career is that, well, It brings the need to have someone managing recruitment of new affiliates. So like find the new affiliates relevant to your audience, then approve the ones to apply or discard them if they're not relevant, monitor what they are doing. Are they performing well? How can they grow? Can they grow more? Educate them about what you do so then they can educate your customers. And well, considering you're paying partners on specific transactions, sometimes there are frauds. Someone may bring you fake transactions and so on. So part of affiliate marketing manager job is to detect any fraudulent activity and stop it. And then, of course, I mean, report to your boss about how the program is going. So the key skills for this type of profession is you need to be good at building a relationship, even not necessarily face-to-face or remote, with the partners who bring you traffic. You need to be good at communicating what your company does, why the affiliates should work with you. And of course, you need to analyze the results, make deals which make sense for both you and the affiliate, and have some basic awareness of how the affiliates bring you traffic. So they build their websites, do the cookies work well, and have the patience, because if you prepay people, usually they give you a lot of attention. But when you work on performance, you need to explain why should someone work with you on results only versus just getting, I don't know, $5,000 flat to write about your app or about your service. So it requires some patience. And now we leave behind performance marketing and look at digital marketing on a wider point of view. There are many approaches to digital marketing, both in B2B and in B2C. I put this chart basically to make a point that careers are determined by what works. So when companies see, for example, that video marketing works well, then well, careers in that space would keep growing at a very high pace. But if someone sees that, for example, programmatic is working but not as well as video marketing, well, that will affect the number of vacancies available. So if you are already in the job market, usually you do what you already know and you build from there. If you're not in the job market yet and you have a passion for something which is on high demand, then you can choose to focus more on that. So we start from content marketing, which is the key of what Diane and Fadhli do. Basically, you want to make sure that your content partner create content, which can be in writing, can be video and so on, which appeals to the target audience. Of course, you need to research that the target audience is in line with what you sell. So for skincare, we make sure that our content partners are relevant to potential customers who are interested in skincare. And well, no one wants to be sold things. So it's very important to be good at storytelling, which also requires research in terms of understanding what works well with the target audience, and also combine your creative approaches with data that you already mentioned before. And as we see on the right side of this slide, well, already last year there was quite a big jump, like more than double the number of vacancies, and the trend is growing, because then content marketing can be applied in many ways. It can be applied to third-party content, to your own company content, different types of content, different types of platforms. So it's a very dynamic and very popular way to do digital marketing. And this one, just a quick highlight, is basically at the end of the day, what's important as a starting point is to be found. So one way is to engage content partners which have a big audience, and another way is they or you, when you write content, it needs to be found on search engines, that we will discuss later on. Digital PR, it's growing very fast too. There is no real gap between online and offline PR anymore. If you run an online event, sometimes you still need to do offline PR. And even if you run an offline campaign, you still need to create content, get pictures and so on, and then you can share on your corporate account. So it's important to cover both sides, even if the digital side is, of course, growing really, really fast compared to the offline one. And also a lot of activities like distributing press releases and so on. It's basically done online. Of course, relationships, if you are competing for top editors' attention, are still personal. So then usually you still interact also face-to-face. So when you contact them digitally, then you stand from the crowd of other people who try to get their attention. And one of the big challenges for PR is basically you can just suggest angles. You cannot, of course, force your partners just to portray you the way you want. And also, you need to be consistent on a global level. For example, in the case of FOREO, considering all the markets we are available, and many people check our site in English or check content about FOREO in English. But then we also have a lot of local content, which is in the local language. So it's very important that all the PR activities, they are consistent on a global level. So the message in every language is the same, at least in the major languages. And at the same time, it needs to be implemented locally to make sure that it resonates with the local audience. And what I suggest to do is basically right now you can, if you're not doing that already and you're interested in digital PR, monitor what the brands that you already love are doing. How are they succeeding in Malaysia? How are they succeeding globally? Monitor their competitors and monitor the trends, because many publications are moving towards paid placements, basically. So how does it affect your PR reach? How can you gap these earned partnership versus paid partnership, which come from our departments? And of course, if you work for a company, then you apply these to your company. So you monitor the competitors and you see the trends in earned versus paid in your own industry. Social media manager, very popular role too. So you are representing a company across different social media channels. It's very important that you understand the complexity of the audience. Because, well, if you are a niche brand, then it's easier because probably the size of your readership is quite small. And even if you cannot predict what they will comment, it's usually in line with what your company stands for. But as the company grows, then there are more people becoming customers. So where do you want to use like a humor? Where do you want to be serious? What you want to highlight first? What you want to prioritize? You really need to be careful because it can be interpreted in many ways. Again, especially on channels which are global, this is even a bigger demand to understand how locals will interact with the content which is created globally. And then always on social media, but we can say this is a tiny bit easier, is when you are advertising manager. So you're basically paying a social media platform to boost your content or to create or to share banners and so on. So in this case, you control the message. You can target who will see the message. So it's very important to know which level of privacy your users expect, because there are many ways to target users, like uploading email lists, setting demographics. But of course, how specific you want your message to be. Like especially recently, privacy became a very big issue. So you need to balance the need to maximize the return on the ads with respecting the expectations of the users. Of course, you need to target the right demographics, boost the content created by third parties, and again, It's data driven, so you need to see what works for competitors, how do people interact, engage with paid content promoted through social media. You cannot see the sales of your competitors, but you can of course see, for example, if you are on Amazon or so on, you can see their sales ranking, so you can understand what's working for them and what's not. Again, cultural awareness, data-driven decisions, and when something works, you need to ask yourself, how can you scale it up? Because that's the whole point. If every time you reinvent the wheel, it's going to be very, very expensive and very time-consuming. So you need to learn from each campaign how to create the next campaign which will perform even better. And these are some examples from Instagram. So basically, let's say a content manager would work with influencers to create actual content, while a social media advertising manager would buy ads, video, or like visual and so on, to display to the user. So as mentioned, you have way more control when you pay for ads than when you use, let's say, genuine content. At the same time, genuine content is way more effective in educating potential customers versus paid ads. Search engine marketing manager is basically doing ads on search engines. This is basically driven by users of search engine behavior. What are they searching for? You can monitor what's the cost of your relevant keywords. You can do A/B testing, like run different ads or run the same ad with different landing pages. And most of the time, you can just take your time and analyze the campaigns. But when there is a specific event like 11/11 or Black Friday and the budgets are really big, it means that you cannot wait the day after to make your decisions. You may have to optimize a campaign like every hour during Black Friday and wait for any approval of your changes and see how they reflect in sales. So, well, usually it's fairly predictable work, but during high sales potential events, it becomes, I would say, adrenaline driven. And I would like to make a distinction between SEO, which, as we mentioned before, is very important for content, but you can also do it on your own website, meaning SEO is when you rank content on organic results, and that's based on the relevancy of the content. And SEM that we just saw now is basically you pay for it. So usually it comes down to how much you're willing to pay per click, how big budget you have, and also some metrics like a click-through rate. So it means that search engine marketing is changed more or less in real time, while SEO usually requires quite a bit of time, and there is also a delay between when you change something on your site and when you start ranking on search engine organically. Now, Fadhli, would you like to take over and share your screen, please?
Yeah, sure. I'll do that. Second, just trying to share screen. Okay, screen share. Can anybody see my screen showing?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, hi, my name is Fadhli.
Okay.
Full screen, yeah. All right. So, hi, my name is Fadhli. I work as a digital specialist, digital PR specialist for FOREO. I've been working for FOREO for over a year. It's actually my first time doing remote working. It's actually something new. I've never done it before. I'd like to encourage anybody, if you guys have questions about what Frank has presented, please do jot a note. At the end of our session, we will have a Q&A session. We can all share about your doubts or your questions about digital media. So, okay, let's start with my background. I first started as a travel journalist at Kaya Travel Magazine. That was my first job when I was in uni. And then after I graduated from uni, I continued working there for the next 6 months. And after that, I worked for Lazada, for Malaysia and Singaporean team. I worked as a copywriter, so I do a lot of captions. I do a lot of promotional copywriting. I do a lot of content writing as well. So I know like some of you guys think that how did you actually get into PR? And I was a film major before. And then after a while, I worked at Line Digital Agency. It's located in KL. It's a startup. It's a very fairly new agency, but we received a lot of recognitions and awards. Our clients were L'Oreal Malaysia, IKEA. We had everybody. It was like a high time. I think I was like one of the pioneers who started the digital PR in Malaysia. Not me, just the team that I worked with. So I worked there for a year, and then I wanted to try something more traditional. I worked at a Quire LCC as a digital PR executive. I specified myself as in the conservational campaign division. So we had a lot of great conservation campaigns that allow us to save the beach, the turtles, the sea life, ecosystem and whatnot. So we do a lot of education. We do a lot of, a lot of copywriting, a lot of press releases, events involving top tier media. Back then, media was still very much relevant, as in printed media. That's what I meant. After I worked there for 2 years, I worked at Petlink Communications as a senior associate. So I handled digital PR. A lot of clients. I handled like 5 to 6 clients at the same time. It was fun, but at the same time, they did not. I think the past 2 years, the clients, huge clients like GLCs and all the semi-government clients, they felt that digital was a bit too shady for them. So most of them would always like go for paper. So somehow I actually I ended up doing traditional PR as well. But at the same time, I would always like stress out the importance of digital, because yes, being in PR, traditional PR is so important, but it's as important as digital media as well. Social media is important. SEM, SEO, like what Frank said, we consume more and more news and consume more and more promotions from our social media and not from the papers. When was the last time you actually read a newspaper? Nowadays we have apps like Hard Metro, The Star, The Edge, the New York Times, Wall Street Journals. Everything is now being integrated with a digital app, so you can get your news at the tip of your finger. So it's actually quite hard for us to persuade or convince our clients that okay, digital is the way to go. But at the end of the day, they're clients. After a year there, I worked as a digital strategist at another agency in Singapore for a year. And then I ended up at FOREO. I was headhunted by incredible HR person from FOREO, from LinkedIn. So when Frank mentioned that LinkedIn is so important for you to actually have, because it would actually open a lot of doors. And I did not even apply for a job at FOREO. It just came to me, and I felt that it was destined. It's always, I felt that, and the fact that they mentioned that, this job requires to be at home, so you only have to travel when you need to, but most of the time you'll be at home, you'll be working with a lot of team, and you will be you'll be dealing with a lot of influencers and digital media. And that was the point where I said, okay, let's just do this, because that was what I did when I was in Line Digital Agency. So here I am at FOREO. I don't know if all of you have heard of our product. We have so many. We have a lot of range, from skincare to anti-aging, It's being used by all celebrities worldwide, especially Kim Kardashian, Chrissy Teigen. They mentioned that they love FOREO. We have our celebrities here as well, like Azura. We have Nilofa using FOREO. So basically, like, you kind of like know what our brand is. It's sort of like it is an expensive brand. It is a premium brand, but it's also for everybody to use, and it's safe to use as well. Okay, so let's get started. It's gonna be a fun one. Like, we're just gonna do a real casual presentation here. All right. So, when I started, when I was a PR, when I was a journalist, and then that was a time where I kind of like, okay, PR is like this, PR is like that. Wow, it's so glamorous. PR is not like as what you've seen. I think most of you have seen Emily in Paris. I've only watched one episode. I didn't have the time. You guys have seen Sex and the City, Scandal. Mad Men basically is an ad agency, but somehow they're basically a marketing agency as well. So you might have seen us on TV. You might have think that, oh, this job is glamorous. This job is incredible. Like, you know, all the cameras are on us. We'll always like we would brush shoulders with huge celebrities. That's correct, but glamorous is actually an urban legend. We don't. It's not as what you've seen on TV. There's a lot of process to it. There's a lot of people that you have to handle, a lot of clients, a lot of ideas that you generate with your teammates, coworker, a lot of teamwork that teamwork is required when you work in a PR agency. You can't work alone because anything that happened on PR is something that you all have to work together. It's not like, oh, I have an idea now, so let's just integrate that to our client. Let's just tell us to our client and integrate it to a deck. It doesn't work that way. There's a lot of analysis, there's a lot of research, it takes a lot of time. It's very time consuming basically. So basically PR is sort of like this on the what I actually do column. You do a lot of YouTube research, you do a lot of market research as well. It's an all-rounded job, if I can say that. Who else here takes PR? Honestly, like, being a PR, you don't need to know rocket science. It's not rocket science. But you have to have a lot of traits that I will discuss later. So anybody can be a PR. I have a friend who is an engineer. He became a PR agency owner, a boutique PR agency owner. They all came from different backgrounds. I had a friend who studied psychology, and she's in PR, business as well. Anybody can do PR, but how far can you actually endure, and how far can you actually go being a PR? Because being a PR, you cannot be single-minded. You can't be like straight-minded. You have to be proactive, and you have to be resilient in a way. And the long working hours as well. The long working hours is actually relevant if you are at an agency where it doesn't matter, like you come in at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. and then you go back at like 4 a.m. the next day and you start it all over again. So that was me in agency years before, but that was a traditional PR. So digital PR is much more I wouldn't say easier, but I think it's much more fun. You explore more, you learn more. You can Google things that you don't know. You can read. Most of the time you have to read. Digital PR exists because our generation does not like to read. We tend to pay attention to things that are more visuals. An article with more visuals capture our attention. You could have a different opinion, but that's sort of my opinion. I feel that our generation think that visuals are more like TVs or Netflix and stuff like that. It's more you can learn more from that, and you can find, you feel that some sense of belonging because of the TV shows that you watch and the similarity you guys have, things like that. So yes, this is what we do. SEO, we curate social media, we curate content. We we liaise with influencers, we liaise with digital media. Diana is handling social media for your social media, basically. If you guys are not, I mean, you guys can follow FOREO. It's alias FOREO_my. That's the content that you know, Diana has been curating for us and for you all to see. And let's have a deeper conversation about a normal day at FOREO. Okay, so a normal day at FOREO. This was my experience in FOREO for the past 1 year, over a year. So the first thing in the morning is that, yes, being a PR, you have to get updated with the news, the latest news, any news at all. It actually is very imperative because keeping yourself updated with trends and news would actually save you and would actually provide you, if you have a conflict, then you would know how to solve it. Like recently, like we not recently, like the past 7 months, we had like COVID and we had lockdown, so we had to work around on things and how to you know, keep our business running in this hard time, during this hard time. So those are the things that you need to do. And then politics is very important as well. It is very, very important for you all to know. Even though if you are attending to clients that, you know, are politic free, but it actually helps because in the end you would know, like, okay, what we can do for the future. You would know, like, what sort of direction you'll be heading to, what sort of people that you should talk to or approach and stuff. Things like Samantha Katie James as well, as you all know, the BLM statement that she made, that is very important as well. So news is very important. Doesn't matter whether it's generic, it's human interest, or it's politics. It's very news for you all to. It's very important for you all to know. Okay, and then I follow up with my influencers, and I would negotiate with them. Follow up is basically influencers that I'm working with, or we have signed contract with. Negotiations are basically influencers that are still fairly new. So there's influencers, we would try and talk to them. We would discuss the rate. We would discuss whether we can lower down the rates and whether they could reach the target that we have. What sort of angle that we should do? Can you do this? Can you do that? How much will that cost? And how much will this cost? Do you have any other brands that you are working with currently? Is there any other brand that wouldn't mind you doing, you know, content stuff with FOREO? Or are they working with our competitors? Whether it's dupes or not, we will need to know, because in the end, the outcome we might have a negative outcome. So we're trying to avoid that. After that, we would try and reach out to multiple digital platforms. We would go for, before this, we were very engrossed with YouTube, with Instagram, with digital media website. Those are very important, but now I think everybody has TikTok thanks to COVID. I have TikTok. I watch TikTok every day, but I don't do the videos. TikTok is actually a very good platform, but you will have to see what sort of target audience that you want to reach out to. Because if you want, let's say if you have a brand that you know, you want to reach out to, like, target audience that are younger, you can't do it on Facebook, because Facebook is basically for people like me and your lecturer, Encik Shawal, because very trend-wise, and for my parents as well. My parents have Facebook as well, so that wouldn't be a good idea. But if you are looking for something like, you know, TikTok, that would be a great platform for you all to reach out to, because that is a platform that are mostly Gen Zs, like Diana. Okay, and after a while, I would look for available content that includes FOREO. We have our SOP, we have our procedures. If we do see content that includes FOREO, we will have to record it and stuff. And after that, we will try and approach other media or digital website that we could work with together. this does not mean that it's only media. Yeah, it doesn't mean that we only reach out to media. It does not mean that we only reach out to um, uh, the news, the media house. It doesn't mean that way. It means that we also look for partnerships as well. Recently, Diana managed to secure, before this, previously, Diana managed to secure a partnership with Christy Ng Shoes. So we received free PR, we receive free credibilities from these people, because I don't a lot of people feel that FOREO is still fairly new. I don't know if you guys have FOREO or not. And then we would try and build relationship with team members, because this keeps us sane. Because being locked in our room and working sometimes could drive us mad, but sometimes it could give us that serenity that we long for. But thank God, like all my team members in FOREO, they're just super open-minded. They're super proactive, very diligent. Our team are from our team encompasses the Asian region market. So it's Japan, we have Korean team members, we have Vietnamese team members, we have Honkies and India, all Southeast Asia, and sometimes we would have to work with our team from Croatia. So that's where our marketing management is located. And if you need, like for me, like the first time I worked in FOREO, when I need help, they would always help me. That's always a really positive thing. It indicates positive things in FOREO, because whatever you ask for, whatever questions you have, it's gonna be answered like within seconds. And it turns out, like for me, like after a year working for FOREO, I couldn't be more than happy. I couldn't be more than happier to just continue working here and just contribute my best here, because all of my team members and teammates are just crazy great. Like they are beyond words, super helpful and easy to talk to. Sometimes, like whenever they come to our country, we would always host them. We would always go out together and work together. If I get bored somehow, I would work at Starbucks in Four Seasons. So before COVID, I was in Bali for a month, but I still do work. So basically, remote working is kind of like the way to go from nowadays, because you don't need a huge office to have different people to work different things, because it's amazing, because working remotely, you don't have to waste 2 hours of your time at a traffic light or congested street. You could spend those hours working, and then if you're tired, you can go and exercise and go eat and come back to work. And then you can go and exercise. After that, like it actually makes me more proactive in a way. I never thought I'd be that proactive, but yeah, working remotely actually would actually give you that sort of like would actually lift your spirit to work even harder, because that a lot of time is not being wasted. You are just there being productive. And the fact that you save a lot when you work remotely, that's actually not a bad idea at all. And after like a while, I would try and look for new and better content ideas. So this is when the relationships with team members is very come in handy, because we have different content in each region. So we can always like look for ideas. We don't want to be the same. We don't want to be a cookie cutter. We just want to make sure that our ideas are fresh. Our ideas are would be filled with engagement because of its angle, and also it would actually return a lot of ROI to us. We would also reach out to influencers. It's not that hard, but it's not that easy as well, because reaching out to influencers could be a bit of a tiring. But Malaysian influencers, thank God, they're actually okay with that. Diana would strategize content on social media. That is actually a must. We would always post something once every 2 days or every 3 days, because Our presence in social media, our brand presence in social media would actually help our credibility, and people would actually be aware of our product. They would feel that, okay, FOREO is here to stay. We're not going to go anywhere. After that, we would actually look for Google Trends. Google Trend is actually very important. We would want to know what sort of trends that are hovering around Malaysia. Basically, we would look for analytic stuff. We would analyze stuff from the Google. It actually helps. The digital PR actually helps. Like before this, when I worked for a traditional agency, I would have to read 3 to 4 newspapers every single day, and if I miss something out, then that's it. But in digital, it's all about, like, you can Google anything you want. You can always like look for it. Even if it's on Google, you could always like look for other resources. We would also have product education as well. So product education is very important. We don't sell one product, we sell a lot of product, plenty of product. It's imperative for us to know and to differentiate what product works best for us. This skin, what products works best for anti-aging. So it's very imperative for us. Like, if you don't know what, if let's say if I don't know what the product that is available on FOREO, what's my purpose of working there? You have to have that sort of passion to learn constantly, to improve. That's how you can actually become more. You can feel that, you know, I can do this, and this is something that you actually want. And after a while, we would strategize on strengthening our SEO. We can't tell you the method, but this is something that we do daily. We would always try and look for new opportunities, just so that we could strategize and strengthen our SEO. For those who don't know, SEO is basically the search engine optimization, where when you search for something on Google, it goes on the first page. So that's something that we always like strive for to do. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, so I know that some of you think that I want to be PR, but I don't know how to do it. Like, can I do it? Can I not do it? Being a PR is actually, it's actually one of the hardest jobs in the world. If you don't know, this is scientifically speaking, it's actually one of the hardest jobs in the world. You can search that online. I think it was presented to us in 2018. Not only that not only that language is required, you need to speak Malay very well. You need to speak English very well as well. You need to write. Being a PR, you need to write. Writing is very, very important. The way you write, the tone has to be there as well, because writing sort of like revolves around PR. We would write press releases and whatnot, but being in digital PR, most of the time you won't have to write press releases. Press releases can be quite a pain in the butt sometimes. Okay, traits that you need. Some things that you should know. You have to be resilient. You have to be thick skin, and you have to have high endurance, because being in PR, you don't work like you're an accountant, or you're in admin, or you're in sales. Oh no, sorry, or you're in I don't know, corporate affairs or things like that. Basically, you have to deal with a lot of people every single day. I personally have to talk to, on average, 20 people. No, sorry, 15 people a day. On average, I have to talk to 15 people a day. I would have to WhatsApp them, call them. I would try and meet them. If it's a celebrity, then we would try our best, because we want to make sure that we want to present the best image to our company. So we would always try and organize like a tea party, not a tea party, but more of like a tea hangout session with celebrities. You also have to be a go-getter. Like, if you don't have a mission, and if you don't have that passion to just like, I want to do more, and I want to do better, and I want to make sure that everything is aligned, then PR is not for you. You have to be a go-getter, and you have to be very, very, very proactive, because macam Melayu cakap apa, kalau pahat dekat tukul, apa pahat kat paku, pahat guna paku baru bergerak, or something like that. So I'm sorry, my Malay is good, but it's just that peribahasa I macam lari sikit. Benda macam tu, you all have to make sure that you all have, yeah, because kalau you all tak jadi proactive, then PR is not for you. You have to be proactive, you have to be rajin. You can balance your work life. You can do that with PR. It says that you always have to make sure that you don't procrastinate. Do things correct. You have to do things correctly. If you do mistake, it's fine. Doing mistakes is inevitable. So, but you cannot repeat the same thing over and over again. You also, like nowadays, because we've worked in a Gen Y, Gen Z's companies, you always have to be quick. You have to adapt quickly in a fast-paced environment. You have to learn, even like when during my time, even when there was no one in person who teach me that, okay, this is what you have to do. This is the software you have to use. This is the sort of method that you have to integrate when you need to count like a reach or ROI. You don't have that sort of like, you know, orang tak bimbing tangan you tau. You have to do that on your own, and you have to cepat-cepat tangkap. But I think like for us, we can all be fast learners. We can all understand very well, and we're able to do it. I think all of us are quick learners. It's just that nak buat ke tak nak tu je dia punya. That's the only thing that you guys need to have lah. And then you guys have to be independent. Like what I said, independent is self-sufficient. Jangan harap orang lain. Do not rely on other people. You have to rely on yourself. You have to make sure that you do it on your own. Don't do it on your own accord lah, but you know, just be independent and be more self-sufficient. Best knowledge in digital, I think all of you have that. Raise your hands if you don't have a TikTok. Raise your hands if you don't have a Facebook. Raise your hands if you don't have a Netflix. If you have one of those, it means that you guys have a knowledge in digital. It's just that being in digital, you have to always, it's a constant learning process. There's always something new for you to learn, and there is always a new method for you to opt for. So that's the best part about being digital PR, because the sky is your limit. In traditional PR, it's like, okay, you have to send an alert from NAMA. You get you receive an alert from NAMA, and then you would actually send it to our client. So PR is not like that. PR is all about numbers and data. So data and numbers are very important. I hate math when I was in high school, but now I love maths because the more numbers that I get, the better I would feel. You also have to be able to think creatively. You will also have to think outside the box. You have to be clear on what you want to do and what you want to instruct your influencers or digital partners to do with you for you to increase your ROI. Depends. You want to increase your general awareness. If you want to increase the CTR, you have to know how to do it creatively, because the whole process of carrying one campaign is actually very, very rewarding, because you get to feel that, okay, I want to do this and I want to do that. So you test it out, boleh ke tak? Kalau tak boleh, you move on to another thing, and you learn from your past. That's what you learn in PR during a degree, correct? And then the most important part that every PR need to have is that you have to have attention to detail, something that I don't, and I'm still learning. This is mostly for women. Women have incredible attention to detail. Men it's bad. But you can always practice yourself to put attention to detail. Always know that what sort of things that you need to take care of or tend to prioritize things that are more important than the other. You also have to have besides that, you have to have exceptional interpersonal or PR skills. So if you think they can do it, okay. People would think that being a PR is like, PR is an extrovert. You have to be out there. You have to go to a party. You have to talk to everybody. Yes, that's correct. But I am basically an ambivert. So it means that I like being around people, but I somehow would need my time. I would always try and I want to take my day off and just not to talk to anybody. That's what I do during the weekend. I would always take a day off on Saturday and Sunday. I would not talk to anybody, and I would just lock myself in the room, talk about no life, right? So being you have to have that sort of, you can be an introvert, you can be an ambivert to become a PR. It's just that when it's work, it's work. Remember that it's your profession to always be accommodate. You have to accommodate others. You have to put others first. You would always have to talk to them, make sure that they're comfortable. And this is celebrities and influencers that we are talking, yeah? So celebrities and influencers expect that sort of like treatment from you because you are a PR. Media as well, the press would always expect that sort of things from you, so that, you know, they would always feel that, okay, this is something that, you know, you appreciate like what I'm doing, so I'm going to give you back in return. I'm going to do something even better so that, you know, you would feel that, you know, oh, thank you so much, this is what you've done for me, because you're being nice to me. So this is something that you all have to have in order for you guys to become PR. Good intuition, not required, but it's a bonus. So intuition comes with logic. Always make sure that don't listen. Always listen to your heart. But always think first. You can always listen to your heart, but always make sure that you think first before you act out on some things. So those are the traits. The only traits that you need to have when you become a PR. If you think that you have all the traits, it means that you are good to just become a good practitioner, being a PR. So it's not hard, but it's also very tiring, but it's also very rewarding. All right, what could go wrong? Okay, so this is only from my perspective, being a digital PR specialist in FOREO. This does not include my time in traditional PR agency or whatnot. A lot of things can go wrong. Whether you're a PR, digital PR, whether you're traditional PR, a lot of things can go wrong. You must always expect the worst case scenarios. By expecting the worst case scenarios, you will always try and figure out what sort of things you can resolve, conflicts you can resolve, things that you can do. So this is very important. Like, you always have to make sure and instill and indoctrinate in your mind that how great your event or your campaign is, it might flop. So when it's flop, what are you going to do? So you're going to have a backup plan. Okay, so what could go wrong? My perspective, working with FOREO, KOLs who did not follow the brief we have proposed, that happened a lot. And I do not blame them. I do not blame the celebrities. I do not blame the KOLs. They have other things to do. They have other brands that they need to tend to. It's a very hard job, because no matter how clear your instruction is, no matter how clear your angle that you have presented with, they're always going to bring you the wrong kinds. So if I encounter this sort of problem all the time, which happens not all the time, it happens like 20% of the time, I would always try and mention that, you know, I know that you're busy, I know that you have other brands that you're working with, I know there's a lot of work, you have to be courteous first. That's the first rule of being a PR. But can you try and revise this and that? It's a nice video, it's a very well-informed video, but can you try and add this and that? Can you try and do it a little more simple, something more non-scientific, something more something more fun? So if you know the way if you know how to talk to people, then it would be easy for you. They would be more than happy to actually change their content. Although it took a lot of effort, but they will be more than happy to actually change it for you, because you are courteous to them and you told them that, you know, you can be courteous, but you have to be assertive as well. But you cannot be rude to the influencers. That's a faux pas. That's the number one faux pas being a digital PR. Okay, so that's it. And then if the content is completely different from the initial brief, then you would always have to explain that to them again. Always make sure. Nowadays, I think it's a common sense to have contract. Contract is very, very important. If they forget the important details, and you will have to ask them what sort of things that they can add, probably in the caption, probably anywhere else, anything that you can think of. Missing in the action happens a lot, but it's happened to a couple of influencers, paid influencers, but it also happens a lot among influencers that are earned. So this sort of influences, we would not budge them, but we would always like try and text them, you know, hey, how are you? How do you like the new product that we sent? Do you like it? Do you have any problem with it? And then if they respond to you, then you could just like bring up the big topic, like, oh, do you know what? I think like, you know, I need to make sure that the content is out by this month. If it's possible for you to do this, that's what we do in FOREO. We do not PRs or digital PRs, we do not force. We can only tell them and inform them. That's it. You cannot do anything more. Also, I have encountered a challenge where one of my influencers refused to revise the content. So that's actually the worst case scenario for me, because refusing to revise content would actually affect a lot of things. It wasted a lot of time from drafting contracts and agreements and all, and then like proposing to the management, and then to know that they don't want to revise the content and they ask us like for another, I don't know, 5,000 ringgit to revise the content. That's actually really, really scary for me. I don't have a problem with it, but I've encountered like once, but it's always good for you to try and look for other alternatives. Try to tell them, you know, we'll give you some time. We will try and tell you, like, you know, we'll try and tell them, you know, we'll give you some time. You can revise the content as long as you need to. Take your time, because if it's that important, then you can do that. But if it's not that very important, then you could always like null the agreement. Okay, so challenges. Yeah, okay. Challenges. This is my last one before I pass the floor to Diana. My last one would be challenges and the not to do when you become a PR. It's not on the slides because it just came out to me like when Frank gave us the speech, Frank gave us his presentation. It came out to me that a lot of PR nowadays tend to do things that a good PR practitioner would never do. I know that we all are engrossed in the digital world, engrossed in the media world. You have to remember that laying your opinions doesn't matter whether it's mostly if you're laying your opinions and you are opting for the opinions that are unlikely opted from your public, you will have to make sure that you have to be more reserved about your opinion. That's my word. Yes, you have to be more reserved about your opinion, whether it's about a current issue or whatnot. You have to be reserved. You have to know how to carry yourself well. Because for me, I will have to have my Instagram public all the time, because in order for me to reach out to influencers and digital media and news publishers, I don't want them to think that I'm a scam, because I am totally not. I had a lot of influencers DMing our social media page, and Dinah, thank God, she actually responded to them saying that, oh, this Fadhli, he approached me. Is he actually real? Like, is this a PR guy? Like, is he not a scammer? So you have to make sure that your profile is public. Don't post something that is deemed offensive, especially recently we had feud between influencers and entrepreneurs. Do not ever talk rubbish about them, because in a way you will need them somehow to promote your product. So this is very, very important. Do not talk smack about other influencers. Do not talk smack about do not talk smack about individuals. Do not talk smack about celebrities. You're free to talk about the government, but make sure that it's always that it's not biased. It needs to be neutral. So in a company, whatever government that we choose, it's gonna be our government. So you have to always respect people's opinion, one, and you always have to reserve your opinion too. So you can always talk up, but however, like if it's in person with your friends, then you can always like talk to your friends and just, you know, oh, you're not like into this sort of like ideas and whatnot, so that's fine. But on social media, it's very important. Please do not upload rubbish. Jangan upload benda-benda yang bukan-bukan ya, because being a PR, you have to be, in order for you to become a good practitioner, please jangan upload benda-benda yang nonsense. Benda-benda yang macam if you want to grow, you grow with news. If benda nonsense, please jangan. And the fact that but unless if it's private and if it's among your friends, that's fine. All right, thank you so much. That's actually from me today. I will pass the floor to Diana. Oh, and if you have any questions, you guys can always like ask us at the end of the presentation. Bye.
Continue on, yeah. Trying to share my screen. Yeah. Fadhli, can you help me share my screen? I don't know why it's asking me to like open my system preferences and stuff. Cool, next slide, please. Thanks. So hi guys, I'm Diana. So after hearing from Frank sharing on some of the career trends in digital marketing and also some of the roles available in digital marketing, followed by Fadhli sharing some of the, like expectations versus reality, like Emily in Paris, right? But now we are just us at home. So, like how the differences there are, and also like some of like things that could go wrong, tricks that you need to be in PR and also digital content marketing. Yeah, just the first, yeah. So for my part, I'll be sharing more of my perspective as a fresh graduate. I'll be covering three things. Firstly, a little bit on my background. Secondly, what are the day-to-day tasks that I do at FOREO, and also my experiences here at FOREO. Next slide, please. Cool. So prior to graduating in December 2019, I launched two startups, one where we help companies hire interns, and another was a social enterprise where we built libraries at underserved communities. So for example, like refugee schools or orphanage homes. So apart from that, I also did two marketing internships, one at Club as a community intern, and the other at Grab as part of their branding team when GrabFood just launched back in 2018. So with like all this marketing experience, right, upon graduating, I wanted to learn something that was more different. I wanted to build on skill sets that's more modern. So I decided to explore, digital marketing. And that was how like I initially applied to this role on LinkedIn. Next slide. Thank you. So some of the day-to-day tasks that I do at FOREO. So first of all, because I am in the digital content media team, what we do is that we would identify reliable and relevant and maybe even potential influencers, celebrities, media platforms, journalists that are, upcoming. And then we would get in touch with them to discuss some of the opportunities that they can have with our brand. For example, maybe they could write an interesting article that's like maybe keeping up with the current trends. And then we will negotiate rates and what some of the deliverables that they will be doing for us. And then once that is done, we will execute the creatives. What is the messaging that we want to share through that content piece to that person or that platform's following. And also we will monitor the performance, like reach and all the engagement metrics. And apart from that, we also have to explore new opportunities, like with upcoming platforms. Okay, TikTok is already here and we're already on TikTok. And then there's also platforms like Red, which is Xiaohongshu. It's an Instagram in China. There's an increasing number of Malaysian users on that platform. And so we would probably soon have to jump on the bandwagon. And then there's also Instagram Reels, which hopefully will launch in Malaysia soon. And then we also get to work with brands, and like what Fadhli mentioned just now, like working with brands that target the similar audience, like Christy Ng. And then any events, forums, or podcasts that we've seen that would be fitting to our brand for us to place, like our products and content. Apart from that, I also work on growing our social media presence. It's FOREO_MY. So there, what I do is I will create and schedule content to be posted, interact with audience real time, you know, because we always get DMs on like, you know, I have to have this concern for my skin. What are the products that you would recommend me using? Is it any different? Does the color make any difference? You know, like a lot of customers have all these type of questions because we do have a lot of problems. I mean, a lot of skincare devices for a lot of different problems, skin problems. So that's why we have to interact with them there. And that's the importance of like social media nowadays, right? And then apart from that, we also do a lot of brand collaborations. We host giveaways, and we also have like Instagram live from time to time to share, you know, some of the beauty tips, you know, like especially with like maskne, how can you prevent those and how to, you know, like heal your mask acne. So currently we also have, we're also running a giveaway. It's like the second post in this screenshot. You can go and check it out. It's FOREO_MY later after this call. It's only open for Klang Valley residents. And even if you're a dude, you can join. Maybe you can win something for your girlfriend, your sister, or your mother, right? So yeah, just go and check out FOREO_MY later after this talk. Fadhli, next slide, please. So I have been with FOREO for about 6 months now. And I do have a fair bit of experiences that I want to share, especially with someone without any experience in digital marketing coming into a digital marketing role. And you know, what are some of the challenges that I experienced while joining this company? So first of all, being a fresh graduate joining this company without any digital marketing experience, I thought like I would be given like a set of instructions to follow and like minor tasks of a big project to do. But I was pleasantly surprised because after a few weeks of training, I was already expected to think independently and to start contributing to the Malaysia's KPI already. So I have like my individual KPI and also like the team's KPI that I have to start working towards, instead of like, you know, I don't know if like any of you have started working previously and then like on your, I don't know, maybe it's your first job and the task that they give you is very mundane. Thanks, Mitch. Very mundane and it's very repetitive. You don't get to learn anything, but it's very different here. So that was one thing that took me by surprise, and I thought like it's very special for like FOREO to be giving like fresh graduates that kind of opportunity. Apart from that, I also think it's a great opportunity to expand one's career because I applied for this job being in digital content media, right? But at the same time, I'm also given an opportunity to work on social media. So at the same time, I get to build on two different types of skill sets. And I don't think you get to get that in most corporates, maybe startups, but in a global company like FOREO, I guess that was quite surprising to me. And then moving on to the next point, I think some of the challenges, right? So when I first joined FOREO, I didn't have any experiences. I didn't know what to expect, but KPI was already very high. It's something that we all working in FOREO can relate. And you know, our manager have high expectations of us. So how do we actually perform well and, you know, pick up the learning ropes fast so that, you know, we can hit our KPI and keep performing well for the Malaysia team. Things are very fast paced here, you know, like when sometimes things don't work out and we have to pivot very fast. So that's also one thing that you have to expect when joining a company like FOREO. But although it is very challenging with like, you have to manage even multiple conflicting priorities going on at the same time, I think it's rewarding because there's never a boring day at FOREO. There are so many things that you have to do, so many things that you have to learn, right? So that's why I think it's very rewarding personally. Apart from that, we are working remotely. All FOREO digital content media employees, we work remotely. And okay, so there are also like pros and cons to working remotely, right? I used to work in offices in my previous jobs, and I enjoy working remotely more with three main reasons. One, the first being I don't have to be stuck in traffic because I do live further away from the city center. And secondly, I don't have to think about, waste like 30 minutes thinking about what to wear for the day, for every day of the week. And then thirdly, I think it forces me to be more disciplined because like you really need to, you know, be very disciplined to set your working hours, where will you be working at, and you know, have like a clear to-do list so that you follow and you check off every single thing, or you will eventually slack off because it's so easy to slack off, right? Your bed is just next to you. You can just go downstairs, go to the kitchen and eat for like an hour while binge watching on like Emily in Paris or something, right? So you really have to make yourself be very self-disciplined, and I think that really helps to maximize my productivity. Last point is the team and the culture. So the picture that you see on the right side, it's a big family of everyone working in digital media unit in Asia. So you can imagine, right, like backtracking a little bit, if you have been on an internship or working in an office, you will go to the office on your first few days, and like everything that you don't know, you will just like, you know, like ask your neighbors, the person sitting next to you on like, okay, so how does this work? Am I doing it correctly? You know, like as a fresh graduate, right? There are a lot of things you're bound to not know about this company, how it works, as the SOP and stuff, right? But because it is a remote job, it is a bit more difficult for me to kind of do that, because you would have to like send messages to all of these co-workers that you have not met. And then like one day, a few of them will receive like up to 5 messages from me like, hey, how does this work? Am I doing this correctly? I would feel like I was actually annoying them a lot, because it is very different when you get to see them face to face. They can see your reaction, your blurriness on your face or whatever, right? But when you are texting, it's very different. So one thing that really helped me kind of go through that and pick up the learning ropes was, you know, this team right here, because they were very, very friendly. In fact, like a lot of them even offered like to jump on a call to explain things to me. And like, if I have any other questions, they would ask me to, you know, just ask them right away. Don't even think about like if I am actually annoying them or not. So this team really, the team that you are part of really helps make the whole difference. Like it really makes your work, makes or breaks your work, I would say in that way. So I guess that's all for sharing for today, and we will open the floor for questions.
So I think that's the end of the session for today. I would like to thank you guys for joining us, in today's session, for spending 2 hours with us. Thank you so much, Frank, Fadhli, Diana, and everyone. Before we go out from the session, can everyone turn on their camera so I can take a picture? Just for like 20 seconds.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Hi.
You guys look very
Hello.
pretty. I don't see that. So.
Nobody's on your bed so far.
Oh, I like the one with the Golden Gate Bridge background.
Oh.
Oh, I see it, I see it.
Everyone's at home, yeah?
Thank you. Thank you. It's at home.
Oh, wow. Where is Sun Ming Yap's backdrop? That looks really nice. Is that your house? I'm like very matchy.
I think it's a good
I
spot.
know.
Yeah. You can get the photo from him. To be in the same spot.
Okay, smile everyone. 1, 2, 3. All right, got it.
Great.
Thank you so
everyone.
much, everybody.
Fadhli, thank you.
Thank
Frank,
you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for the opportunity. Bye.